Do you ever find yourself triggered in interactions with your child that leave you wondering exactly who is the parent and who is the child here? It doesn't have to be this way. In this video, I want to teach you how to tune into a situation and create the outcome that you actually want instead of constantly repeating and recreating those out of control situations with a child or teen who is actually just as frustrated and misunderstood as you are. If you love raising your vibe with conscious parenting and relationship advice, then please subscribe to my channel, Radical Frequency, and hit the bell to be notified every Tuesday when I upload a brand new video. I'm Jean Van Zyl, and I'm a conscious parenting coach. I have 4 kids of my own, so I'll tell you, I have a lot of practice at doing this over and over again and beginning again. And I think that's sort of the good news that I'm here to spread about parenting, is that every day and in every moment, you have a chance to forgive yourself and begin again. I had so many situations with my kids that were really frustrating, and we were constantly butting heads, and I knew, I could sense from just watching them, and I knew on my side, like, I felt unheard, and I knew that they felt the same way, and we both felt misunderstood. I knew there had to be something different. And so, because I'm a spiritual person, and this is just sort of how I solve every problem, I turned inward because I wanted to create a different outward reality with my family. And doing that changed everything in my life. And I want to share the insights and powerful concepts that I got out of all of that with you. And so the Essenes were Christian mystics, and they sought the divinity within. They recognized that to say, as within, so without, means that every experience we have, every experience of relating, these are all projections of our own inner selves and nothing more. The Essenes believed that all of creation as we perceive it exists only to tell us more of the truth of who we really are. And so if we apply that idea to the relationships with our children, to know that an argument with our child, a triggered feeling that we have, is only a projection of something within ourselves, it can be really revealing. And revealing in a way that's uncomfortable and unpleasant to deal with. But when we can approach these situations with compassion for ourselves, the healing that can come about from it is tremendous. And to go through this process in front of your child is incredibly instructive and empowering for your child. The great spiritual teacher Byron Katie tells us that it only takes one person to make a great relationship. You don't have to rely on anyone outside of yourself. That's incredibly relieving and empowering, in my opinion. And so let me explain how to do it. First, remember that this is a process. You will feel a change right away, but there's bound to be some regression along the way. Healing is not a linear process, and this is a normal trajectory for growth. So if you feel yourself regressing a little bit, be really gentle with yourself because it's all part of the growth process. So the first step in being able to be free from triggers when you are dealing and interacting with your children so that you can handle them in the most loving and conscious way possible. The first step is to accept how incredibly powerful you are and be aware that the universe resides within you. That's very easy, right? The universe resides within me. No big whoop. It sounds like a big deal, but just say that. Say, I am the universe. You can kind of feel that rippling within you as the truth when you say it. So just say it and know that that is the first step to this process. Acknowledge I am the universe. And that feels good too. It's something you can do. It feels really good. Step 2, become the observer. Realize that if you react as you always have in the past, you're not conscious. Stay conscious by beginning to inquire into the process. So all I'm asking you to do is to realize you're triggered And the way out is to begin inquiry. And inquiry will naturally take you to the position of the observer, which has a different frequency than being in it, because you're not identified with the emotions that you're experiencing. You don't think they are you. You begin to ask questions as though you're outside of the feelings, which you are. Let me take a moment to say that I recognize how incredibly difficult it is not to react in an unkind way when your pain body's triggered. I really, really do get that. That's why I want to put so much attention on this process, because it is such a powerful way out of that kind of pain. Before you begin to inquire, I find it's totally fine and incredibly welcomed by your child to re-script the scene in order to take care of yourself. And it goes like this. Your 6-year-old child does not want to eat. And by this, I don't mean that you prepared a beautiful organic meal from scratch and he refused that. No, but of course you prepared that meal, but you're not rookie enough to think he's going to eat that dinner. No, he doesn't want to eat the chicken nuggets that he asked for right as you were sitting down to eat your beautiful organic dinner with the rest of the family and eating what everyone else is eating. And even though he asked for the chicken nuggets, his reason for not eating them, it makes sense, is that he actually hates chicken nuggets. The chicken nuggets he asked for, right? And you start in with a reason. Oh, God bless you. You start in with a reason. You say you loved the chicken nuggets yesterday and these are identical. I won't continue because you know how this goes on. It just goes downhill from here. I just want to give you a sense of where we are and to become aware that this is about control. And so that's the question. Are you going to lose control of yourself? Sometimes we can act out because we feel so powerless in a situation and we don't already have a plan in place for when these situations arise. And so this is your plan. Do you ever feel triggered in interactions with your child like this, especially about food? Food is such a huge one. I feel like it's pretty much universal. Leave me a comment in the comments section about interactions you've had with your child that have left you wanting to pull your hair out. And so now back to the execution of step 2, which is being the observer. Step 1 was acknowledging you are the universe. Step 2, being the observer through inquiry. And so he tells you he hates the nuggets and you feel the bile begin to rise within you. You must recognize that you're about to go into battle with an unhealed part of yourself. So instead of battling with yourself, don't do that. You'll never win against yourself. You don't want to, because it's just you. And you love both of those people. You don't want there to be a winner and a loser. So you can just stop. And often that's what's really hard. You think that you have to bring that dialogue to completion, to some kind of fruition. But we really know that those kinds of interactions are only going to end one way, like with somebody storming out or with somebody screaming or with some ridiculous ultimatum being issued. So I find it's totally acceptable to say something like, wow, I am really unhappy with how my feelings are going and I hate this interaction. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if hate's the right word, but I mean, you have to be gentle with yourself and whatever comes up out of your mouth. And if it's that, I hate this interaction because I don't like fighting with you. You're really precious to me, but I am so angry and I feel like I want to honor that part of myself. And so I'm going in the other room. I'm going to be back in a few minutes. I don't know how this is going to go, but my children have learned that once I start in with, like I'm having feelings and I need to take care of them. First of all, I'm modeling that when you have feelings that feel out of control to you, the appropriate thing to do and the right and the loving thing to do is remove yourself and turn inward and see what's happening in there. And you are the adult. I want to remind you that you're the adult in this situation. And so you're going to be the adult for this triggered being within you. So you separate yourself and say something to your children. I often find I just narrate my feelings. I'm so angry and I'm definitely aware that I have an urge to control you and that's not who I want to be. So I'm going to remove myself for a minute. These are just examples of what you can say. You don't even really have to say anything, because it's important to remember that as you do this over and over, your children are going to see this kind of an emotional arc. They're going to see you get upset in a situation, you become aware, and you'll say it to them too as you move into this and do it over and over. Become aware that it's something within you that needs attention. Then you remove yourself if that's necessary, but sometimes it's just that quick awareness, and then you can proceed from there. And but I want to give you an example of inquiry so that you can hear how the whole thing goes. But what I think is really the best part of it is the doing it over and over again, so that your children see that this is the right way to handle emotions. Because in the process of handling your emotions, they can see you and watch you being present and being compassionate toward your own heart. And at the same time, you demonstrate that they are very important to you too, and you don't want to harm them, and you feel like this raging being is out of control. And so you want to lovingly put your arms around that out of control being, which is you, and remove her to another room if that's possible, or just close your eyes to turn inward for a moment. It all seems, like nothing we've ever really had an example of in our lives, but to do it and to demonstrate it over and over to your children is just incredibly powerful. And so now I want to give you an example of how you would perform the inquiry as related to this chicken nugget situation. And remember, I'm doing this away from my child because I don't need to take some of the energy from the situation, which is kind of out of control and janky and messed up. Like I need to remove myself from that and just realize that I'm dialoguing with myself, okay? Because the kids are fine. You're in the next room. The kids are fine. If he doesn't eat, whatever, you'll get that figured out. And you'll get it figured out through this dialogue of inquiry with yourself. And so here's the process. I'm upset with Simon because he won't eat his dinner. This is the idea that I'm attached to. Simon should eat his dinner. Is that true? Sometimes I write this out in my phone in the Evernote app if I don't have a piece of paper handy. I know it seems like a pain to get a piece of paper out. You're not going to have to do it every time because it will eventually become part of your mental process. But in the beginning especially, it's important to write it out, because when you write it out, you objectify those thoughts and feelings and you become separate from them. When you can view it outside of you, any kind of art or writing will objectify your thoughts and feelings. And it makes this process so much stronger and so much more effective. So if you don't tell me you don't friggin' have your phone with you. You always have your phone with you. So get notes or the Evernote app. That's what I like because I can be a little more descriptive. That one's free. And write it out. You can write it out. When you write it out, you realize that you are not your thoughts. You are actually a divine being. And divine beings don't yell at their kids. So if you don't want to do that, you need to remember your divinity. And the best way is through inquiry. So back to our example. Simon should eat his dinner. Any dinner. Is it true? I'm still angry. Yes, it's true. Of course it's true. Children just can't not eat. In order for me to feel happy in this situation, Simon should eat his dinner. So the next part of inquiry. Can I absolutely know that it is true that Simon should eat his dinner? Can I absolutely know it? Absolutely. Well, no, I'm not in his body, and I probably would not want to be forced to eat. Can I trust myself? I can trust myself to eat when I need to. I should trust Simon. And now I check in. How do I feel within my body when I believe the thought, Simon should eat his dinner? And remember, I'm believing the thought, Simon should eat his dinner when he won't eat his dinner. So I'm resisting the thought, Simon should eat his dinner. How do I feel in my body? I feel awful resistance and pain because I know he just doesn't want to. And he would only eat if I turn into a crazy, scary mom and force him to eat. Who would want to eat under those conditions? It would damage our relationship if I did not trust Simon to know when it feels good and right to eat. When you take the time to say, God, I feel emotions even about it every single time, and I've talked about this a lot of times, but when you start to inquire, you really realize the truth of the situation because your thoughts are racing. But inquiry makes you slow down and really see it as a conscious person would, because I think that's the biggest part of being conscious is slowing down to see the truth of how things are. And so now I'm going to examine the thought. Does the thought Simon should eat dinner bring stress or peace to my life? Oh my God, y'all, stress. It's really obvious. To be tuned into that thought feels really stressful. Okay, who would I be without the thought? I would be free. I would be the mother I want to be. I would not be controlling his food. All right. Now I'm back in a little bit of a harmonious vibration with my child. Like I notice, because for me, like I can kind of tune in to how I'm feeling right then. I'm like, wow, I already feel like, okay, everything's fine. I can let go of this. But let's go a little bit more deeply into inquiry, and then we can have the insight of why this situation arose in the first place, because everything is here to help you. Every moment, every interaction is here to teach you more of who you are. And so why did this moment happen? Why do I feel like I want to control Simon's food? And so now I'm going to do the turnaround to get some idea into it. There are a whole bunch of ways you can turn around, but we'll start with the simplest. So Simon should eat his dinner. Turn it around. I should eat my dinner. How is this turnaround true for me? And so sometimes it'll be metaphorical. Sometimes it'll be really obvious with the turnaround. The food ones tend to be very clear for me. And I don't see them, of course, when I'm upset about the food and my fears about my kids are triggered, but there are always these deeper meanings too. It's not just that I'm scared my kids won't be healthy or that I don't want to deal with the emotions that will result, I feel like, when they haven't had nutritious food to eat and then they're just like all acting crazy. So the turnaround is, I should eat my dinner. How is it true for me? Well, I do want to take better care of myself. I want to be relaxed when I'm eating like a nice, really nutritious meal. And I did spend time on that dinner. And so sometimes when I serve food to my kids and then they don't eat it, I wonder if this is part of me that's rejecting like sitting down and being present with myself as I eat. It's very uncomfortable sometimes to be present with yourself. And so we engage in these practices to make it easier and easier. And so when you do the turnaround, this is an opportunity for your higher self to speak to you. Because if you ask that question, because it could be Simon should eat his dinner. Another turnaround could be Simon shouldn't eat his dinner, and ask how that's true. Because then you can get into issues like, why shouldn't he eat his dinner? Well, he shouldn't be controlled by me. He should have autonomy. He should be trusted. And you can turn around any of those statements too, that you don't trust yourself. I mean, that's always a big one that seems to come up for me over and over. And so that's inquiry. That's the first practice that we engage in. So this is really just a basic example, but going through the process of inquiry makes it so clear what our feelings are really about. And the truth is that our feelings are always leading us back to ourselves and the hurt that is within us that has always been calling for our loving attention. And so now, once we become conscious, being conscious means being willing to give ourselves that loving attention in the moment that those feelings arise. And they'll continue to arise. Like, I don't know, Eckhart Tolle says he doesn't really get triggered, and Byron Katie, like, they don't. But I'm not there yet. And so I think at some point you do exhaust all of the hurt feelings within you. But until you do, allow them to flow through you and continue to be the compassionate witness for those feelings. And then those particular ones won't recur. And so you'll find that you're lighter and you have more space within you for consciousness and for presence. It all becomes easier the more you do it. And so I want to talk for a moment about what's so special about your loving attention. Because in our relationships, especially romantic relationships, and even with our children and our parents, like we're seeking their approval and seeking their love. But ultimately, we find that all of our relationships fall short of giving us what we want in that regard, because what we're actually waiting for is our own loving attention. Our loving attention has no agenda. It has no desire to manipulate. And your mind knows that. Your mind knows that when your child tells you you're the best mom ever, it might be because he wants something. When your parent tells you that, it might be because they want to control you in some way. But we know that when that praise and that loving attention comes from our own hearts, there's no agenda, and it actually feels amazing. And so that's my invitation to you, is just to try it and see how it feels to be lovingly present with yourself. You don't want anything from yourself, no agenda other than to express admiration and love, which definitely is the truth of who you are. I loved sharing this inquiry with you. Would you like to see me practice inquiry on another topic? Please let me know in the comments. It is a universally healing practice, and it works for everything. I have a great Facebook group, and you can join it by clicking in the link in the description box below. And in that group, we discuss parenting questions and we support each other in our conscious evolution. I would love to see y'all there. I created this video so that I could bring you the awareness that you have the power to master yourself in every interaction. But please don't take it as an opportunity to judge yourself. If you don't do it, just sit in the beautiful energy with the realization that you want to be and have the willingness to be a conscious parent, raising the vibration in your family as your own awareness grows. And if you want to continue to raise your vibration with every video, please subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.